Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the People's Town Hall election debate here at the Perth Town Hall. Lovely to have your company. We do have some empty seats here at the moment, so if you want to make your way down to the Perth Town Hall, we'd love to have your company. If you are stuck at home watching on West TV or on the internet, don't forget you can still join in if you want your questions asked. Just jump on Twitter, use the hashtag #WAPoll. All right, time for us to move to our next two candidates now, Dwight Randall and Greg Ross. Gentlemen, thank you. Now, you both have 1 minute to describe who you are and what you stand for. Dwight.
Yeah, Dwight Randall. I am the Upper House candidate for the East Metropolitan Region for Australian Christians, formerly the Christian Democratic Party. It's a delight to be here tonight and be able to speak to you. I'm married. My wife is the head of the arts department at a high school. We've been married for almost, well, a little over 40 years now. We have 15 grandchildren ranging in age from 17 right down to just a few days old. And I'm standing for Australian Christians because I want to bring compassion and integrity back into our parliament. Christians have a long history of compassion. Jesus said that our attitude toward others ought to be to do unto others as we would have them to do to ourselves, and to think of other people first. So we want to get into Parliament and actually function as servants and speak in defense of Christian churches, Christian schools, Christian institutions, traditional values like marriage and family, and just represent West Australians in a positive manner.
Thank you, Dwight. Greg.
Hi, I'm Greg Ross. I think I'm the only road train driver standing for election in the West Australian election. I'm standing as an independent, genuine independent, for the seat of Kalamunda against a sitting minister, John Day. And I'm standing because I believe the party system no longer serves us properly as voters. I think we get let down in our electorates, and especially if a minister is an electorate, then nothing happens. And I envisage that if the people of Kalamunda honour me with electing me, I'll be a sort of caretaker person for 4 years, ensuring that once again Kalamunda gets looked after. And at the end of it all, whatever party, major party, wants to promise and continue looking after the place, I would step down gracefully and consider my job done. Thank you.
Greg, thank you very much. Okay, time for us to go to the audience and find out what questions they've got for our two candidates. Paul.
Hello, thank you, Jason. Interesting tweet come through from Cam Jones, and maybe the Australian Christian lobby might want to answer this. What improvements do you feel are the most critical when reforming things such as sexual health education for youth? We know that there's an explosion of infectious diseases in the community at the moment, the like we haven't seen before. How would a group like perhaps the Australian Christians deal with that, given their more conservative views? Apart from, I guess, just abstinence.
I think that's for Dwight, actually.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was... Okay, well, we're concerned about matters relating to sexual health, and we think one of the largest problems in relation to that is simply that we need to be advocating once again chaste behavior amongst single people and encouraging them simply to hold off till they find somebody that they truly love, somebody that they want to commit their life to, somebody who they're prepared to marry and to have children with, so that...
Dwight?
Yep.
What if that person is the same sex?
Well, we are opposed as a party to same-sex marriage. We believe that children are entitled to have both a mother and a father, and that in heterosexual families where there's a mother and father, that children do best by every single indicator in terms of years of education, in terms of grades at school, in terms of less truancy, in terms of involvement with police. In all areas we support the traditional family. It's been the norm for the last thousands of years.
I'll hold you there. We'll go to Greg. Greg, did you have any thoughts on this?
Well, yes, I do. I think a major problem in our society is the sexualisation of children. You know, I'm overseeing little girls dressed up to look like 22-year-old girls at a nightclub. I think we've got it all wrong there, even with some of the dolls that are sold. So I would just like to come back to children being children, and then take the pressure off them to feel that they have to engage in sex or be sexual beasts or whatever it is. I think as a society we've got some things wrong there. So that doesn't mean I don't want to see sexual health taught. I do. I think there's a role for people at home to be taught that. I mean, I come from an era when my mum had said to my dad, "Have you told him about the facts of life?" And he muttered something and ran off. And of course, nobody told me anything. But
Greg, I'm going to pull you up there because we do have to move ahead with this. I'm going to ask you the same question though about same-sex marriage.
I have no issues with that at all. I think there's been some horrific things throughout the world of people committing suicide, people's lives ruined because of their sexuality. I mean, yes, there will be some people that play a game, and that the same applies to heterosexual things. But for goodness sake, we're all people. It's not my practice. I happen to be heterosexual just purely because I happen to be. So I just regard all people as equal.
All right. Thank you. We do have a we do have another question from Twitter, Paul.
Thanks, Jathan. This one's from Ray. Excuse me, Dwight Randall. This question is for you once again. It's from Ray in the audience. He's from the North Metro area. He doesn't want to stand up and ask a question though, but I thought this may work. As a single issue party, or I guess a well-trodden path of issues that the Australian Christian Party has, how do you deal with broader issues like the economy, transport and development? Are you a conservative party? Are you more of a socialist party, or are you more of a freedom-loving independent party when it comes to those kind of things?
Okay, well, we're not just a single issue party. We have policies on a whole range of issues. And obviously, if I'm elected to Parliament, it's going to either be the Liberals continuing to govern us or Labour taking over government. Both have plans for the future in terms of transportation. I would be serving in the upper house. The upper house is a house of review, and our party would not be obstructionistic. What we would do is we would look at legislation coming forward and we would try to improve it. And so on those matters, we're very happy to work with whatever party forms government, and whatever policies are put forward that are beneficial on the whole range of concerns to Australian Christians, those are things that we would support.
Do you worry at all that you only represent a very small part of the community?
Well, I question whether that's the case. I think that the Christian community is actually a very substantial community.
But we are becoming a more multicultural, secular community.
Yeah. I just think that Christians haven't really woken up to the power they have in terms of their vote. And while we are becoming secularized, the church is still a mighty force, and a force capable of great good. And historically, if you look at what Christians have done in terms of palliative care and hospitals and schools and universities and the salvos, that's the sort of thing we want to foster and make sure that it continues.
Now, we do know that this evening Colin Barnett and Mark McGowan are actually at a church service. Do you know more about that?
Yeah, that's the gathering of the Australian Christian Lobby, and I assume probably that Jim Wallace is chairing that. Had I not been invited to come to this tonight, that's where I would be, and I imagine that Colin Barnett and Mark McGowan are getting asked a series of questions in relation to family, marriage, gay marriage, the whole gamut of issues of concern to Christian people, as well as poverty and all those things as well.
Greg, I want to ask you also, and I know it's not particularly within what you're campaigning on, but what do you think of religion entering politics?
I think it should be kept right away. I think every single person has a right to their belief system, and I stand up for that for everybody. But as to mixing it with politics, I think it's exceptionally dangerous, or has the potential to be exceptionally dangerous. I'll declare myself here and there, I'm an agnostic. I'll tell you where my church of worship is. It's Ningaloo Reef or Kings Park, you know. But if you want to worship a God or your God, then please let me help you. The only thing I would say is please don't dictate to me your belief systems. Having said that, I think I'm Anglo-Saxon pretty obviously. I got brought up with that Judeo-Christian morality system, and I have respect for that as well.
Now, Dwight, I can see you're itching to get involved. Just a very quick response.
Yeah, well, everybody comes from some philosophical viewpoint, whether it's agnostic or atheistic or somebody who has a Christian faith. Christian involvement in politics over the centuries has been extraordinarily beneficial, including the removal of slavery under Wilberforce in Great Britain, in terms of many great things that have been achieved as a result of Christian people on the political scene, the separating of sexes in prisons, the starting of schools and universities, and I won't go into the long list, but it's an extremely long list. And if you have one view that Christians shouldn't, conversely, we could hold another that they should. So,
I just reminded of men marching into war all with God on their side.
yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's just go back to the audience now. Paul, do we have a question from the audience?
Thank you, Jason. Yes, we do. This one's from Peter from Fremantle, who I believe is in row 5. Peter from Fremantle. Oh, there we go. Peter's moved. Peter, if you'd like to stand up, you have a question. It says for either party.
Sure. It was directed at Liberal and Labor, but maybe you gentlemen like to give me your views on them. This is in regards to the new anti-association laws they've just passed in this state. I was wondering, is it not in both parties' constitutions for all Australians to have the right to freely associate? And if so, why have they introduced such laws as anti-association laws that have the ability to take away the right from all Western Australians? Isn't this unconstitutional and undemocratic?
We'll put the question to both of you, if you could answer separately, and around about a minute each, please. Mike?
Yeah, I can tell you with surety that our party has not formed a policy on that matter yet. I think it relates primarily to people attached to bikie clubs, and we've not had a hard look at it. I can just simply say that for the last 30 years, I have driven a Honda Goldwing, so it's not a Harley Davidson, but I am a person who loves motorbiking, and we'd have a hard look at it. That's all that I can say. Sorry.
Greg?
Well, there's two of us. I've got a Honda Black Widow. I'm a great motorcycle man. A Black Widow, the Harley boys will hate because it's actually an exact copy of a Harley. So I do apologise to the Harley people here, if there are any. I look at those laws with some trepidation. I understand why there's a certain amount being brought in. However, I would point out a current court case up before the courts at the moment of a well-established bikie member, and that is being dealt with by the courts without any need for legislation to stop people getting together. And that sort of thing, to me, is the thin edge of the wedge for everybody. So I just think we do have to be exceptionally careful in putting in legislation like that. It worries me. If we have an effective police force, or if it was properly funded, they had more cars, more motorbikes, then they'd be able to deal with things more efficiently as well. So I guess I would have to come out and say I'm against that in a way. I'd want to see a lot clearer evidence of why it needed to be introduced.
All right, moving along. Oh, okay, yeah. Moving along right a little bit, Greg, your background is you come from Labor roots, and I assume...
No, actually no. I'm a New Zealander by birth. I came from a very right-wing family. I had a very privileged education, and I guess I was brought up in that white Anglo-Saxon, brought up in Anglican, just a very different world to what I found when I came to Australia. I've been touring around the world, lobbed into Sydney with $100 in my pocket and thought I'm on the greatest ride in the world, and I very soon discovered that the working bloke with no association was there to be taken, and it was a salutary lesson. It took me some time to understand. So then I sort of became very much a swinging voter, which I still am.
All right, I'll have to hold you there. Thank you. We're back to the floor. I understand Paul's got another question from the audience.
When I hear the term swinging voter, Jason, I just think of the 60s. This question is apparently from anyone. It's from Brenda of Joondalup, who asks the question for our two on stage this evening. Single parents have had their benefits cut to encourage them to go back to welfare, I believe, when a child reaches 8 years of age. But are there enough employers prepared to be flexible around school hours? And will they just not have to pay for more after-school care too out of the wages that they earn? And are we reducing the family unit and making it more difficult to raise the child in a stable family environment by having these kind of laws that are making people, single mothers in a lot of cases, join the workforce? Greg,
let's go with you first.
Look, I think a lot of that comes back to the cost of living, which is out of control. You know, part of the Kalamunda electorate includes Maddington. Now, Lord knows why. Well, it's political, that's why. But their issues down there are the issues ordinary people face, which is how to pay for the power bill, how to pay for the rent, how to buy food. And I think if you start picking on people who have the misfortune, if you like, or choose to be single mums. I myself was a single dad for a while, so I have an understanding of it. Choose to be single mums or are single mums, then life is difficult. I think people should be encouraged to work. There's something about the work ethic that's good for all of us. I'm not sure if there's an easy way around it. Sometimes in society, I feel you just have to carry some people. As frustrating as that might be, sometimes you just have to carry them.
Thank you, Greg. Dwight, you come from a reasonably conservative background. Do you think that you and your party would find themselves discriminating against single mums?
No, I honestly don't. I do come from a conservative background, but I've also been a co-founder and the chairman of the board of 3 agencies that help young women who find themselves pregnant in difficult situations. And we try to provide all sorts of practical help, including maternity clothing and baby clothing, training them how to look after their little ones, assistance with doctors. If they're refugees and they have no insurance, then we try to arrange with hospitals to deliver babies at no cost. We understand that it's very difficult for a single woman, and many of them are brave and courageous and work very hard to raise children. And we view that as a very positive thing that they're doing, and so we would support them in any way, particularly in those years leading up to the time when the children get into school.
Thank you. We are live here at the Perth Town Hall. If you'd like to join us, there's still time. Just make your way down here. It's completely free to come in. And if you are watching via the internet or on West TV, don't forget you can get your questions through to us with the hashtag WAPoll on Twitter. Let's go back to Paul.
Thank you, Jason. This one's coming via Twitter, of course. Just hashtag it WAPOL, WAPoll, and we'll keep looking at it as we go through the broadcast here this evening. This one's from Mike Hopkin, and it's for Greg Ross in your local electorate, Greg. And the question is, if elected in Kalamunda, will you let cyclists ride up Gooseberry Hill zigzag as well as down?
Yes, I would, because I would be absolutely fascinated to see who can do it. I myself could not. I was doing a controlled stagger around Les Murdy this morning delivering flyers. I think cycling is a great way to go. We've got cycles ourselves. My fiancée Anne comes from Munster in Germany. That is the bicycle city in Germany. I think there's more bicycles than people, so I really respect it. If you were to look at me in profile, you'd understand that I should ride my bike a lot more. I think the zigzag has a wonderful future as a real tourism place, not just for people on bicycles, but in terms of cars, in terms of motorbikes. I think there is potential there for tourism events. But, you know, local people might say to me, no, we don't want that. I don't know. I haven't talked to people on that. And I understand there's a bit of a problem with hooning there that has to be looked after, but I can see enormous tourism potential there. So yes, I'd be inclined to let them ride their bikes up there. I see them riding up Kalamunda Road and I can't believe it.
I don't know that cycling is really a policy that you would have within your party.
No, it isn't, but I did speak at a church in Kalamunda on Sunday, and traveling up Kalamunda Road, I was amazed at how many people are riding their bicycles.
It's a lot more fun coming down than going up.
That hill is so long that a number of them were walking their bicycles up, but the ones going down were moving at a good pace, we need to encourage that sort of thing.
Now, gentlemen, I'm going to give you 30 seconds each to actually wrap up your pitch to our viewers this evening. Greg, I'll let you go first.
Well, as I said earlier, my pitch basically is because I believe the two-party system, or the big major party system, is letting the voters down. I intend to stand as a true independent and purely represent the electorate of Kalamunda, what the people want there, and that includes the whole district, from Darlington down to Maddington. I intend to represent them and get them looked at again and get what they need. That's pure. I'm not here for a career. I'm too old. Not there for the money. That's why I'm here.
Thank you, Greg. Dwight?
Thank you.
Well, as I said at the beginning, if I'm elected, I simply want to bring integrity and compassion into the Parliament. I've said that Australian Christians will not be obstructionistic. We will not try to create trouble. We will try to solve problems. We will happily work with either Labor or the Liberals, whoever is elected to government. I have many friends over the last 30 or so years that I've lived in Perth on both sides there, and we believe that we could make a very valuable contribution to politics in Western Australia.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our two candidates, Dwight Randall and Greg Ross. Thank you, gentlemen. Time for us to go to a break now. Don't forget that you can still participate in this event this evening. You can still make your way down here to the Perth Town Hall or jump on the internet and participate that way as well. We'll be back after these messages.